The new league year is right around the corner, and with that comes free agency. We've already previewed the 2025 free agent quarterback class. Now let's go ahead and do the running back class. And last year, we saw a resurgency. Some of the best teams in football this year had an experienced running back who came from a new team. Via free agency, we got Saquon Barkley. Obviously, Philly won the Super Bowl. Saquon was in the MVP conversation. Pretty much the unanimous third place guy. Some people would have even had him in the top two. Derrick Henry and the Ravens. They once again made it to the divisional round. Derrick Henry would have been a 2,000-yard rusher had they would have started him a little bit earlier. He still got close. A great season, 1,900 yards. Who else do we got? Josh Jacobs. Amazing. He looked great for Green Bay. Joe Mixon. I know it wasn't via free agency, but he was traded and he panned out. Aaron Jones, he's going to be a free agent once again, although he has that 30-year-old mark right next to him. That's not good. But Aaron Jones, still productive, 1,000-yard guy. Can he stay healthy? That's going to be the big thing. So let's just start off with Aaron Jones. And this free agent running back class, as you're going to see, is not anywhere close to what we saw last year. Last year was kind of interesting because via the draft, it was one of the weaker running back classes through the draft. At least we thought. Obviously, we got some surprises with Bucky Irving and Tyrone Tracy being much better than what we thought during the draft process. But also free agency, there were just superstars available. And this year, it's a little bit the other way. Ashton Genty going to be a first-round pick. Obviously, the Cam Scatterboo lovers who... whatever. Listen, he's a great football player. Do I think that he's going to be some NFL superstar? No. But overall, it's just a stronger running back draft class in free agency, as you can kind of see on here. Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry, probably the top two running backs in football. At least in 2024, they were. We don't have the top two running backs in football being available. We don't even have probably a top 12, maybe a top 15 running back available. However, there are still some hidden gems. So let's talk about Aaron Jones. It's going to be interesting to see where he kind of goes. He's a guy who's going to fit in a lot of offenses, I think, just because of his role. He's very good as a receiver. He still has something to give in between the tackles. Is that going to be his strong suit, especially at age 30, all the wear and tear? Can he take the hits? No. But he's going to be productive. Minnesota makes sense bringing him back. Young J.J. McCarthy, give him a safety valve. However, there's already a lot of money tied up into this offense. Obviously, on the offensive line, you still have Garrett Bradbury, Christian Darrisaw, who I believe just got paid this past year, Brian O'Neill, one of the better right tackles in football, and then T.J. Hawkinson, Justin Jefferson making top dollar. And then you obviously have another first-round pick invested in Jordan Addison, who's going to try and take just another step forward. He's looked pretty darn good in his first 2 years. Do you really want to tie up more running back in Aaron Jones, more money into that offense? $7 million this year as an average, that's not bad. If he could get that again, that would be a good thing, I think. And that's going to be a tough pill to swallow. Aaron Jones was very good this year, but the running back market got helped last year. It's not fixed. We're not going to be making Aaron Jones $10 to $12 million a year. I just don't see that happening. I do think he probably is the best running back on the market. At this stage, though, does he have the highest ceiling? No, you might get better value somewhere else. Raheem Mostert, he just got cut, so he's actually available to sign right now. He does not have to wait till the new league year. Obviously, Miami went through just like their wave of cuts, which is actually kind of a nice thing. It can be mutually beneficial depending on when you have guarantees vested. But for Raheem Mostert, now he has almost a head start on some of these guys he can kind of test the market, especially with running backs. There's only so many jobs. There's only so much of the cap that teams are going to be willing to allocate. Raheem Mostert, if I'm being honest, I view him doing best in a Mick Shanahan offense. Obviously, a Sean McVay or Kyle Shanahan tree. So, does he go back to San Francisco? Jordan Mason's a free agent. Christian McCaffrey coming back from injury. Maybe you bring back Raheem Mostert. He's pretty darn good number 2. I think that he is a very capable starter. He's one of the reasons, in addition to injuries and concussions specifically, we have not seen Devon Achane kind of take off yet, because Raheem Mostert is still very much a quality running back, just a couple seasons removed from a 20 touchdown type of season. He either did have 20 touchdowns or got close. Najee Harris, I feel like no one in the world is right about Najee Harris. I feel like you either like him and respect him way too much and respect the 4 1,000-yard seasons to start his career way too much, or you hate him because he has been working in not great offensive systems, in particularly with Matt Canada. And then this year with Arthur Smith, there's like a 3-game stretch, and I know that sounds silly, but that's really kind of what we're talking about with running backs. A 3-game stretch where Najee Harris was one of the best backs in football. That was towards the beginning of the season. It was like right when Russell Wilson took over, maybe like the last game or two of Justin Fields. Jeff Wilson, another productive backup. A.J. Dillon, I don't see him really he's just too slow. People make fun of Najee Harris. A.J. Dillon just does not have the game speed needed. I wouldn't be surprised if his time in the NFL is done. Nick Chubb, what kind of Nick Chubb are you getting? It's going to be another year removed from that devastating knee injury. Obviously, Nick Chubb has had devastating knee injuries going back to his days at Georgia. It's going to be interesting. Obviously, a fan favorite in Cleveland. You're already dealing with some turmoil with Myles Garrett. Can you really afford to give up the fan favorite on both the offensive and the defensive side of the football? I don't know. I feel like it is in Cleveland's best interest and Chubb's best interest to come to some mutual understanding. Nick Chubb is not going to be the Nick Chubb that we saw prior to the knee injury. However, he has something left, probably. It's going to be interesting to see what exactly he gets. Javonte Williams, a great start to his career, drafted out of UNC. He just has fallen completely flat. There's nothing there. It'll be interesting to see if a change of scenery can help him. Alexander Mattison was sort of the starter in Vegas. Amir Abdullah and Zamir White obviously got some play too. That's going to be interesting. Travis Homer, really more of a special teamer. The brown at the top of the screen is Nyheim Hines. It's going to be interesting to see how healthy he is. Amir Abdullah has quietly put together a very good career for himself coming out of Nebraska. He didn't really meet expectations in Detroit or Minnesota, but he's carved out a nice role for himself as a special teamer, third down back. J.K. Dobbins, remember when I was talking about a 3-game stretch? J.K. Dobbins, if he can stay healthy, is a top 12 back in football. The problem is he's never healthy. This year was better. I think that him going back to Los Angeles would be in his best interest. Samaje Perine, veteran, good third down back. There's a market for that eventually. Probably not right away. Rico Dowdle, 1,000 yards, unrestricted free agent. It's going to be interesting to see what Dallas does there. I think he played amazing behind an offensive line that was good, but it wasn't as good as what we have seen from Dallas in like the last 15 or so years. It's going to be interesting to see what he does. Rico Dowdle, you could make the argument, is the best running back available. I like JK. I like Aaron Jones, but value for value, Rico Dowdle showed that he could get it done, which really a lot of these guys can't get it. Ty Johnson, great third down back for Buffalo this year, was almost as important as pretty much anybody else on that Buffalo offense not named Josh Allen or not named Deion Dawkins. Kareem Hunt, I like it. Cam Akers gets traded to Minnesota every year, so he'll probably sign somewhere and then get traded back. Craig Reynolds has looked all right. Deontay Foreman, I was disappointed in him this year. He's kind of been a guy who's productive no matter where he goes. In Cleveland, I thought he was going to do well with Nick Chubb recovering. That was not the case. Jeremy McNichols, people forget that they were 4 or 5 deep in Washington at running back. You still have Chris Rodriguez, Brian Robinson, Austin Eckler. Eckler might be a cap casualty. Wouldn't be surprised if his name's added to this list. And a lot of running backs could be added to this list, so that also could strengthen the class. Kenneth Gainwell, Elijah Mitchell, if he's healthy, obviously. Emmanuel Wilson got some play. Who else we got? Patrick Taylor. Everyone looks good with Kyle Shanahan. All right, and then real quickly, I want to talk about Jalen Warren and Jordan Mason, restricted free agents, which means that there will be a tender that Pittsburgh and San Francisco can place on them. And basically, if a team were to sign them to an offer sheet, you would sign them for cheap, but also you would be giving up whatever pick the tender goes for. We can talk about that more, but both of those running backs, intriguing guys, but probably going to remain